Welcome to our Stalked Hovers. I'm Meek Nomicon, and today I'm playing through Dr. Morgan's counselling session, where we find ourselves going for an annual therapy session. Only, our counsellor seems to have changed, and this seems like a parking garage. Just what is going on here? Next. You're snapped out of your daze. Right, counselling. You step forward to the receptionist, wallet in one hand. A plastic insurance card lies between your index and thumb as you dart your eyes around, avoiding eye contact. Name. What is your name? My name never changes. There we go. I am Meek. Meek, checking in? You say hesitantly as you slide the card out and slide it across the counter. The receptionist lets out a huff, or is it a sigh, and takes the card. The keyboard clicks loudly as they type your information in. Your hands get your debit card ready for the copay. You rehearse the words you'd say when asked for payment, the exact movements you'd make, the PIN number you'd type after, and... Alright, you're all checked in. What? You look up as your insurance card is handed back to you. You fumble with your wallet as you put your insurance card back into its slot. You nervously shuffle your feet, waiting for the receptionist to ask for you to pay for your visit. But they'll call you up when they're ready. Is there anything else I can help you with? Despite their words, they're not even turned towards you, sorting through files instead. No, it's nothing. You duck your head down and turn to find a seat in the waiting area, with your debit card still pinched between your fingers. Why hadn't they asked you to pay like always? A pit began to form in your stomach as you sat down. Fidgeting with your debit card, you ultimately decide to put it away and pocket your wallet. It's entirely possible that your insurance just covered the visit in its entirety, right? However, despite being a frequent visitor here for over a year, this had never happened. Not once. The time went by as you rested your hands on your knees, taking in the details of the ceiling. After a restless silence, the door to the offices opened. Meek? The voice is unfamiliar, causing you to hesitate for a moment. That isn't my counselor. You look around nervously, your gaze falling on the receptionist from earlier. They catch your eye and raise an eyebrow before going back to their paperwork. Anxiety starts to gnaw at you as you tighten your grip on your knees. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Well, in that case, let's leave the office. This is way too much. You decide to leave and reschedule your counselling session. Getting up, you walk through the doors and to the parking lot. You can't shake the feeling of being watched as you unlock your car. Goosebumps rise along the nape of your neck once you lock your car. Did you lock the doors before leaving? Was someone waiting in the back to kill you? Paranoia gets the better of you, and you check the back seats, just in case. Was someone actually there? Nothing's there. Of course there's nothing there. You locked the doors when you left your car. No one could have gotten in without smashing a window or something. You start the engine and begin to drive out of the parking lot. As you pass by the entrance of the office, you spot a man smiling at you in the window. A chill runs down your spine. He smiles as he watches you leave. You quickly look away, focusing on driving. Your grip on the driving wheel tightens. You felt sick. The pit in your stomach had only grown, anxiety and paranoia clawing at your insides, wanting to escape. You could feel bile rising in your throat, but you kept it in. It seems your counseling will have to wait another day. Ending 1. Rescheduled your appointment. Well, clearly that's the good ending. I mean, unjustifiable. I don't think it's a good sign and they can just swap in therapists like that. Especially without telling you. Clearly, he's dangerous. But now, let's go back and meet him, shall we? Okay. So now it's time for us to enter regardless of our bad feeling. Meek, you here? The door opens a little wider. You get up and walk over, entering the office. Yeah, I'm here. You're greeted by a man with blonde hair and lively brown eyes. Oh, splendid! Right this way. He leads you down the hallway. It's an uncomfortably long walk with a couple of turns and down some stairs. Where exactly are you taking me? You had no idea the office building was so big. You never had to venture this far in before. The man walked with a brisk pace, occasionally looking over his shoulder with a smile to make sure you were keeping up. His pace as well as the distance you were walking started to tire you out a bit, so he slowed down and walked next to you. How are you doing today? The question made you jump a bit. I'm okay. You weren't sure of the answer yourself. He picked up on your tone, nodding. The silence that settled between you two felt awkward. Eventually, you both stopped at a door. The unfamiliar man took out some keys and thumbed through them, looking for the right key to unlock the door. You took this time to look at the door. Strangely enough, it didn't have a nameplate like all the others. It was blank where the name should be, as if the writing had been recently rubbed or cleaned off. Ah, there we go. His voice snaps you out of your observations. He's holding the door open, waiting for you. The room is dark. The pit in your stomach grows, anxiety gnawing as you step into the room. The light withdraws as he closes the door. We just now in a dark room with a creepy guy. Oh, this ain't good. The air is cold, sending a chill down your spine as you squint to try to make sense of your surroundings. Oh, I forgot to turn the lights on. How silly of me, he says with a feather light laugh. His voice echoes around the room. Suddenly, light floods the room. Are we in a basement? I'm gonna get murdered. What the? The room was almost entirely empty, save for a plastic table and some metal chairs. Concrete walls and pillars surround you, metal pipes running along the ceiling. You were definitely underground somewhere. This was most certainly not your counselor's office. Before you could say anything, the man walks in front of you, fidgeting slightly. He seems a bit embarrassed. A slight blush dusted his cheeks as he shyly avoided eye contact. Sorry, my budget isn't big enough to furnish my office, he says sheepishly, guiding you to the table. Your budget is the least of my worries right now. Wait, sorry, this isn't my... You say, stepping away from the man. He gives you a puzzled look before smiling again. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself yet. I'm Oliver Morgan, 26 years old. Though since you're my patient, that'll be Dr. Morgan. Morgan is just fine though, he says, reaching out to shake your hand. You pull away, holding your hand close to you. No, that's not what I'm going to say. You aren't my usual therapist. I think there was a mistake. I have to go. The smile falls off his face, though his eyes still have a glint to them. You turn your back on him and towards the door. You begin to turn the handle, except... What? You jiggle the handle, again and again. It doesn't turn. Why isn't it? Is this locked? Did you lock the door? You turn around to look at him. Morgan is uncomfortably close, standing 2 or 3 feet away, leaning forward. His face was a few inches away from yours as he boxed you in with his arms. A calm smile was still plastered on his face, though it seems like his expression was starting to falter. Meek, come on, just take a seat and we can... He reaches for you again. Oh, we can punch his lights out? You know what? I think this is the best course of action. Punch his lights out. You push him away before winding your arm back and sucker punching him right in the face. Morgan falls to the floor with a thud. Wow, that was easy. Kneeling down, you shove your hands into his pockets, grabbing the keys. Turning back towards the door, you go through the keys and try them one by one. With each passing moment, you can feel your heart rate pick up. Why are there so many goddamn keys? The one you want is the one with the blue rhinestones. Oh, thanks. Wait, what? You turn around and Morgan is standing up, rubbing the side of his head. Ah, that hurt. I didn't think you could punch so hard, he murmurs before smiling at you. You put the keys between your fingers as a sort of key knuckle weapon. Morgan stares at you, tilting his head. Let me go. Let me leave. You can't stop your voice from shaking. Morgan takes a step forward. You lunge at him, aiming for his stomach. He grabs your arm with ease, yanking you down. The momentum sends you hurtling into the door. You groan, trying to straighten yourself up. The grip you had on the keys loosened. The keys sitting loosely in your palm now. Morgan kneels down, taking the keys off your hands and putting them back in his pocket. Now then, where were we? He says with a smile. You sit up, looking up at him fearfully and disorientated. Morgan reaches a hand out for you to take. Left with no other option, you take his hand. He helps you stand up and steady yourself, his other hand hovering on the small of your back. Morgan gently takes your hand and leads you to the table, seating you in an uncomfortable metal chair. He sits across from you, a small clipboard and a file set on his side of the table. Morgan takes a second to grab something from under his seat and rubs it on his face. When he turns to face you again, the injury you left him with is mostly gone. You nervously stared at him as he organized the table. Morgan notices your stare and he blushes a little, before coughing and grabbing a file. So, anxiety, huh? He says, flipping through the file. Was he seriously going to try and be your counselor? Is this guy even licensed? So, tell me about it. What makes you so anxious? You give him an incredulous look. What's making me anxious is that there's a guy pretending to be my counselor, and he's not letting me leave. Morgan just smiles and sets down the folder, clasping his hands together. I can see that you're hesitant to trust me, he begins, carefully choosing his words. But all I want is what's best for you. I want to help you, Meek. His tone is earnest as he speaks. You grit your teeth, crossing your arms and furrowing your brows to try and seem intimidating. How can I trust you? I don't even know who you are. I come here expecting my usual counselor, and then you show up, lead me into, what is this, a parking garage? It's my office, he corrects you. Yeah, your office. That's under the building and surrounded by concrete walls. I told you they didn't give me much of a budget, he mumbles. Whatever this place is, you bring me here and lock the door like a maniac. Morgan frowns a little bit, playing with the edge of the paper on the clipboard. Looks like he had nothing to say to that. What's even on that file you have? You ask, reaching out. Morgan pulls the file away, holding it out of reach. It's your information. I'm your counselor now, so... Refuse his help. Like how you are. Give me it. You stand up and try to grab the file again. You catch the edge of the file, pulling it towards you. The contents come loose and spill onto the table. Pictures of you scatter the table. They're all small Polaroids, each labelled with a date and a description of the face or expression you are making. What the hell? What the hell is all this? You say, picking one up. You look up at Morgan, who's staring impassively at you. The glint in his eyes have vanished. Pictures of you, obviously. But don't touch them so carelessly, he adds, reaching into his pocket. You back away fearfully, dropping the photo. Morgan simply takes out a pair of gloves, slipping them on. He picks the photo up carefully, organizing them and placing them back into the file. Once they were back where they belonged, Morgan sighed, running a gloved hand through his hair. Oh, my head hurts. He groans quietly. He looks tired. You could probably knock him out this time. Looks like I'll have to go to Plan B, he says, reaching under his seat. Plan B? Your chest tightens with anxiety as you backed away from the table. Yep, honestly, we could have done this the easy way, but... what a shame. Morgan walks around the edge of the table, fastening a mask to his face. A cloth hangs out of his pocket. Now then, hold still, will you? He says, taking the cloth in one hand before lunging for you. He's on top of you in an instant, your hand gripping his wrist, keeping the cloth away from your face. A slightly sweet smile wafted towards you. You can't read Morgan's expression, but his eyes darken at your resistance. He wasn't expecting you to struggle this much. Managing to push him off, you crawled towards the door and tried to get away from Morgan. A hand grips your ankle, yanking you backwards. Let me go, you shriek, kicking him in the face as hard as you can. Morgan lets out a grunt when you kick him square in the face, his grip on your ankle loosening. You quickly pull away and stand up. Not wasting this chance, you tackle him to the floor. Grabbing the cloth, you shove it under his mask. He shoves you off him, standing up and ripping the mask off. Morgan seems dazed as he staggers, holding himself up with the table. Whatever he put on his face earlier wore off, exposing his injuries. Oh, that seriously hurt, he mumbles before collapsing. Hopefully for good this time. You approach him, checking to make sure he's actually knocked out this time. Morgan was definitely knocked out. Grabbing the keys, you find the key with blue rhinestones and unlock the door. You run out, finding the exit as fast as you could. You run past the receptionist who gives you a questioning look as you leave. Quickly spotting your car, you unlock and jump in, making sure to lock the door. Turning the engine on, you grip the steering wheel tightly as you sped out of the parking lot and away from the office. Ending 3. Escaped counseling! There we go! See? Don't mess with me, I will kick you in the face! Okay, so how about this time we just stay still, try not to punch him. Morgan gently takes your hand and leads you to the table, seating you in an uncomfortable metal chair. He sits across from you and a small clipboard and file set on his side of the table. You nervously stared at him as he organized the table. Morgan notices your stare and he blushes a little, before coughing and grabbing a file. So, anxiety, huh? He says, flipping through the file. Was he seriously going to try and be your counselor? Is this guy even licensed? So, tell me about it. What makes you so anxious? You give him an incredulous look. What's making me anxious is that there's a guy pretending to be my counselor and not letting me leave. Morgan just smiles and sets down the folder, clasping his hands together. I can see that you're hesitant to trust me. He begins carefully choosing his words. But all I want to do is what's best for you. I want to help you, Meek. His tone is earnest as he speaks. You grit your teeth, crossing your arms and furrowing your brows to try and seem intimidating. How can I trust you? I don't even know who you are. I come here expecting my usual counselor, and then you show up. Lead me into, what is this, a parking garage? It's my office, he corrects you. Yeah, your office. That's under the building and surrounded by concrete walls. I told you, they didn't give me much of a budget, he mumbles. Whatever this place is, you bring me in here and lock the door like a maniac. Morgan frowns a little bit, playing with the edge of the paper on the clipboard. Looks like he had nothing to say to that. What's even on that file you have? You ask, reaching out. Morgan pulls the file away, holding it out of reach. It's your information. I'm your counselor now, so... Okay, you know what? We'll accept Morgan as our new counselor. You sigh, letting your arms fall to your sides. You are too tired to argue anymore. You know what? Sure. You're my counsellor for the day. Morgan's face immediately lights up at your words, his smile returning. I'm glad you've accepted me. That makes me really happy, Meek. Did he have to say it in such a creepy way? Morgan clears his throat, his gaze suddenly serious despite his smile. Well, let's begin, shall we? He says, leaning forward a little. What's been bothering you, Meek? You gulp. You still felt a little hesitant to tell the stranger your problems. It had taken you a while to truly open up to your usual counsellor as well. Hopefully Morgan wouldn't be too upset if you end up clamming up. Well... A sigh escapes you as you lean back into your chair. You would explain the surface issues of your anxiety. Morgan had listened intently, occasionally jotting down notes and offering surprisingly insightful advice every now and then. He was truly kind and understanding. It was like he knew you for a long time. Well, that's because he's been stalking you for a long time. Actually, now that you think about it, had you seen him somewhere before? Dr. Morgan? You begin, but his mumbling cuts you off. I see, so that's how it is. He murmurs, his eyes scanning the notes he took. You shifted uncomfortably in your seat as he took a moment to read over his papers. Even though he was caring and helpful, this was as much as you were willing to tell him for now. I feel there's some things that you're keeping from me, but... Your hands nervously play with the hem of your clothes as he speaks. It looks like our time is up, he says, standing up. Huh? What, do you want to talk more? His voice is playful as he pushes the chair in. No, that's not what I meant. You stumble over your words as he walks over, holding your hand out to you. You take his hand and Morgan helps you up, his hand ghosting over your lower back as he walks you out the room. I'm your counsellor, remember? He reminds you as he guides you up the stairs and down the hallways. I'm always here if you need to talk. Right, yeah, I guess you are, you mumble, the carpet pattern suddenly more interesting than looking at Morgan's face. Wait, does this mean I'll be seeing you again? You can feel Morgan's eyes on you, his laugh echoing down the hall as the two of you walked. Of course! As silence falls on the two of you, the gears in your head turning. You had a lot of questions, however, when you opened your mouth to ask about something. Morgan had opened the door to the reception area. You look back at him, and he simply smiles. See you soon, Meek. Yeah, see you soon, Dr. Morgan. You set up a follow-up session with the receptionist before leaving. As you walk to your car, you can feel eyes boring into the back of your head. You can't shake the feeling of being watched as you unlock your car and get in. Goosebumps rise along the nape of your neck as you get settled in your car. Paranoia gets the better of you and you check the back seats, just in case. Nothing's there. Of course there's nothing there. You start the engine and begin to drive out of the parking lot. As you pass by the entrance of the office, you spot Morgan smiling at you in the window. He waves as he watches you leave. You quickly look away, focusing on driving. Your grip on the driving wheel makes your knuckles pale. That wasn't so bad, I guess. But I never got the chance to ask what happened to my usual counsellor. I forgot about you. Looks like you're finally awake. I briefly considered removing the gag from the counsellor's mouth before backing away. It's truly a shame that you don't carry your office keys with you, good sir. I had to bring Meek to this dingy parking garage that I set up last minute. Oh well. Kneeling down in front of the counsellor, I tied the plastic bag I held over his head. Well then, it should take a while for you to suffocate to death. Why don't I go over what I learned today while we wait? Taking a seat in the metal chair, I flipped through the notes I took during the counseling session. Ah, Meek, I can't wait to see you again. Ending 2. See you next time. Oh, poor Counsellor. Let's face it, he was either going to be already dead or going to die soon. Okay, so I'm looking for my last ending, so I've done the thing where we stayed still so we wouldn't hit him. So I'm thinking if we refuse his help, when we struggle, he won't be already injured, so I might not actually be able to escape this time, right? Okay, refuse his help. Morgan lets out a grunt when you kick him, but his grip remains tight as he drops his full weight on your back, pinning you down. Shh, he whispers, pressing the cloth to your nose and mouth. You try to hold your breath, thrashing and struggling to get him off of you, but it's futile. Eventually, it feels like your lungs will burst. You inhale the sweet scent of the cloth, feeling a slight headache and dizziness as sleep overtakes you. Ending 4. You need more counselling. Well, I hope you enjoyed that playthrough of Dr. Morgan's counselling session. I think that receptionist might have been on it. I mean, they didn't seem surprised at all when I made my swift getaway. Very suspicious. Well, if you want to watch something else with more suspicious actions, then I highly recommend you checking out the game Locker. And if you've enjoyed your time here, please consider to like this video and subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on all our releases. But other than that, hope you have a spooky day and I'll catch you next time, guys.